Welcome to the War Plan Briefing. Today we're going to talk about 9 things that rich people believe about money, okay? Now, I have the unique opportunity and privilege to kind of live in 2 worlds. My wife and I started out in a trailer park. I was a pizza delivery driver, which actually I love that job, by the way. So shout out to all my 1999 to 2002 like Domino's Pizza homies out there. I don't know what you all are up to, but much love. And here's the thing. We started with nothing, and then along the way, through earning our bachelor's degree in pain and our master's degree in suffering, we've built all kinds of really cool relationships. And we have people that aren't entrepreneurial. They don't understand kind of this money stuff, and that's fine. But we also went down this path where we have a lot of friends that make, $1, $2, $3, $4 million a month with their business. Some of them make $1 million a month in personal income or more, which can break your brain. And it sounds fake, especially when you're watching a video on the internet, but it's not fake, right? And so I have like my left-hand relationships over here, and I have the right-hand relationships over here. None of these people are better or worse than each other, but they understand and think about money completely different, like completely different. And I don't know how you were raised or programmed, if you have weird shame stuff about money or what, but here's a few things to consider in terms of the mindset differences between rich people and everybody else that I've noticed. And for my wife and I, we've applied most of these kind of by paying attention to the right-hand relationships and learning from them. You don't have to create success. You have to model success. So the first thing is that rich people value their time a lot more than they value their money. A lot of broke people are some of the stingiest, greediest people, right? And if you think that money is an amplifier, meaning if you have a lot of it, it just magnifies what you already are. If you took the average person from maybe the inner city who's kind of selfish and greedy and you give them lots of money, they're not going to become some radically generous, benevolent person because of the money. They're going to be the same person, just with more power to be that person even worse, right? And at the same time, if you're a generous person when you're poor, you're going to be even more generous when you have resources. But back to time versus money, if you are a guy or a girl that believes that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, and you'll trade a bunch of your time to mow your own lawn, for example, versus pay a little bit of money to have someone else do it, this is one of those shifts that will pay huge dividends to you if you look at it like this. The time that you save or buy back, the Bible says redeem the time for the days are evil, right? If you buy back some time with some money, you take the time you saved and you use it to produce even more value. That's the big difference. The idea here isn't to be lazy and just buy your way out of doing work. That's not what I'm talking about. Wealthy people view their time as so precious because it's a finite resource. Money is a constantly replenishing resource, right? Money is spiritual. Money is unlimited. There's abundance, right? But when you buy back this 10 hours a week by outsourcing something else or delegating something else, then you take that time and you roll it into your business, into more sales and marketing, things like that. A lot of small business owners are stuck because they have to be the one doing the thing. They have to clean the thing or build the retaining wall or dig the hole or build the retaining wall themselves because they value the money. They don't want to have to pay employees. And because of that, they're going to stay stuck. The second thing that rich people believe about money is that there's abundance and there's not scarcity. And this isn't just some trick you play with your mind. You got to ask yourself what you truly actually believe, and then ask yourself, is it true? If you grew up with not a lot, which my left-hand relationships over here oftentimes did, they truly believe in their heart that money is hard to get and that it's scarce, that it's rare, that it's hiding from them, that it's elusive and it's eluding them. It's just not true. But if you believe that it's true, it will be true for you. What you focus on, you find. And if you focus on scarcity and reminding yourself how hard it is to get money, it will be hard for you to get money. Now, rich people, on the other hand, they understand the truth that money is actually really abundant. As a side homework project for you, if you're a nerd and you want to understand how fractional reserve banking works and how the monetary system actually works, there's an amazing video almost no one knows about. And just go on YouTube after this video and type this in. You ready? It's called, I want the earth plus 5%. I want the earth plus 5%. And you'll understand how the debt-based currency system works. And there's like problems with it, but I need your brain to understand that there is more than enough for everyone to have more than enough. Literally, there really is. But when you don't think that that's true, it's going to be almost impossible for you to succeed. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? I want you to crush it. I want you to win. I don't want you to suffer. And you got to understand there's so much volume of transactions happening, no matter what kind of business you have, everywhere around you. But sometimes you just can't see it because you don't believe it's true. If your phone isn't ringing, you falsely believe in your heart money isn't moving and being spent. It's being spent constantly, baby. It's going back and forth already. You don't have to create customers. You just have to tap in to the demand that's already there. People have the weirdest businesses doing millions of dollars in sales, and you're probably a good person sitting at your desk and your phone's not ringing and you're panicking, and then you falsely believe money is scarce. It doesn't exist. Everything's going to fall apart. And guess what? It's far more likely to fall apart for you if you believe that. The third thing that rich people believe about money is that money is used for production, not for consumption. Now, are you a producer or a consumer? The reality is that all of us are consumers to some extent, but rich people are massive value creators. They're producing, they're investing, they're rolling cash back into something that's productive. They take their money and use it as a tool to grow and expand their influence and their income, right? They buy assets and they make investments in labor, in people, in an executive team, in education, in their brain, in their network, in other cash flow producing assets. And you might be thinking right now, or the objection in your head is, well, I don't have money. I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You watching this YouTube video is a form of investment. You're spending a little bit of time now to make a little bit more money over time forever. Hopefully that's why you're here. If you only view videos like this as a form of entertainment, then it's going to be hard for you. Maybe you're even watching success-based videos like this is a way to escape from the pain of your reality. But what if you actually wrote down the principles in a video like this and started imperfectly trying to apply them to you? That would be you being productive with the time you're investing. But with the little bit of money you have, we still roll it into books and workshops and seminars or relationships. And we get closer to, influential people, and we're constantly investing. Money is there to leverage and to roll into production. Poor people consume everything they get. They make a little bit more money, they upgrade their bass boat. They make a little bit more money and they take the fancy vacation. They make a little bit more money and they get the nicer car, and they're choking their business's ability to really scale. The fourth thing is that rich people believe that being wealthy is a right, not a privilege. Now, this one's a little deep. Okay, rich people believe that it's normal and natural and regular to have abundance and wealth. Poor people believe that it's like winning the lottery is the way to get wealthy, that because money is scarce, because it's really hard in their brain to get money, they believe that it's some sort of privilege or luck to become successful. Now, it is true that some people get lots of money, luckily, especially with these like 21-year-old crypto millionaires and stuff that pretend like they're investors when really they're just speculators. They would never want to admit that they just got lucky, that they think they're a genius. Some of that stuff happens, but you got to remember that on average, people that produce a lot of wealth, they do so for the same core principles over time. They're usually good people that are generous, that think long-term, that have good impulse control, that provide value to the world. That's what they actually do. And that if you do that, it's normal and natural for you to accumulate wealth. It's what has to happen. It's almost like math. 2 + 2 = 4. If you're a value creator who serves, who has delayed gratification and understands how to reinvest capital to give yourself leverage, that equals wealth. That will happen to you. It doesn't matter any other factors. If you follow the principles, you get the yield, you get the result. A lot of people that grow up in the hood or the inner city, they believe that their only ticket to riches is to get in the NBA or make it into the NFL or something. And when you believe things like that, if you believe that it's only luck that's going to get you successful, you're never going to actually do the right things, the simple things. These things are simple. That definitely will get you there. The fifth thing is that they believe that jobs are more risky than a business. Now, maybe you still have a job and you're thinking about jumping into entrepreneurship. Maybe you have a struggling small business and you're thinking about jumping back into a job. I've been there. I get it. But you got to remember that jobs are just as risky, if not more risky. I believe they're more risky than having a business, even a small business. Do you want to go back and work for Larry, who underpays you, who doesn't appreciate you, who takes massive amounts of your time in exchange for a little bit of money because you believe in your brain there's some sort of safety blanket with that? I got news for you. There's no safety blanket with any job. Even huge companies can lay off 15,000 people with no notice. And when you believe that the CEO running whatever company you're working for is going to somehow steward your job and protect you more than you would protect yourself learning and playing the game of business, you're crazy. Because when you have a company, you have control to move the needle. You can make the lead flow go up. You can make the close rate go up. You can get better at sales and persuasion and marketing. You can optimize your own systems. You can learn these things, and you can actually be responsible for your success. While over here, we're hoping that the board of directors and all these faceless and nameless people up in the ivory tower are somehow going to protect you. And I can promise you that's not what they're thinking about. And then the sixth thing is that street smarts are smarts. Okay, so people that come from maybe a poverty background or people that come from an academic background, both of these groups of people falsely believe that academic book knowledge is somehow the most valuable form of knowledge. And it's not true. Entrepreneurs are street smart. They're savvy. They know how to negotiate and think asymmetrically. There's a reason that college professors are enraged by people that are high school dropouts that become multimillionaires, because the academic world and poor people that look up to these academic people falsely believe that wealth somehow correlates with head knowledge. It does not. Wealth does not correlate with head knowledge. It correlates with action and risk management and negotiation and value creation and sales and marketing and all these things that you're better off learning by being in the trenches as a small entrepreneur than you are by reading 50 books. A lot of big colleges have their business classes taught by people that have never ran a business. I'd rather have a guy who only has a $300,000 small, tiny company teach some of the business principles than I would an academic who's read a bunch of theoretical books and memorize them to stroke his own ego. And wealthy people understand this. You know, there's studies that have been done that basically, to summarize it, says that the D students, the C students work for the D students, and the B students work for the C students, and the A students work for the B students. If you look at an org chart, that's oftentimes the case. The seventh principle that rich people believe about money is they think in terms of teams, not solo. There's many groups of people like the Italians or Jewish people that historically get rich together, but it's not just them. It's really high-level entrepreneurs in general. They get rich together. They have people they go to war with, they lock arms with, because they're willing to share the pie. They'd rather have a little bit of a huge thing than have 100% of a small thing. Would you rather have 25% of a watermelon or 100% of a grape? And there's this lone wolf operator mentality with small companies that keeps people broke. It keeps them poor. You know, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. They want to fly solo. They want to change their own brake pads. They want to do their own bookkeeping. They want to have 100% of the grape. And because of that way of thinking, they're never going to get a huge result. How can you get other people rich? How can you make your opportunity and your vision for your life so big that 15 people in the future can become decamillionaires inside the universe of your vision? If you figure that out and you focus on how do I get these 15 people wealthy beyond imagination, guess what? You're going to win automatically. Was it Henry Ford or Zig Ziglar said, you know, the best way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want. That's what we're talking about here. Think in terms of teams, not as a lone wolf. Number 8 is that getting rich is simple, but it's not easy. Poor people believe that it's really hard and complicated to get rich. The truth is, it's almost embarrassingly simple. You got to learn how to listen more than you talk. You got to learn how to create value and solve problems. All business really is offering a solution to a market of people with a problem. That's all it is. Using your language and the messaging and the positioning, understanding some basic math, learning how to have enthusiasm to get word out about your product or your service. That's all it is. Now, getting rich is not easy per se, but it is simple. It's not complicated. And when you're running a small business, hitting your head against the ceiling, I know, and I have compassion and empathy in my heart for you, because sometimes I still fall into this way of thinking that we overcomplicate it in our mind. And if you believe it's actually really complex to be successful, it will be hard for you to be successful. It's actually simple. it sounds like a paradox, but there's certain things that can be simple, but not easy, right? And there's a difference between how hard something is and how simple something is. Give more than you take, listen more than you talk, learn basic skills of persuasion and sales, learn how to be noisy about your product and service, think long-term instead of short-term. If you do these things even badly, you're going to be 10 times further ahead than most of your competition. And then last but not least, rich people, generally speaking, understand that it's not about me, that it's not just about us. It's about the contribution to the tribe. Now, Hollywood and the media and university loves to demonize successful people. I see a lot of young people nowadays walking around public malls wearing t-shirts that say, "Eat the rich." Eat the rich. And it's so fascinating to watch this, because you can see how politicians spin people up into a frenzy to create this fictitious enemy, which is a successful person, to pretend like little purple-haired college guy over here is somehow oppressed and victimized because this guy created a widget that served a whole bunch of people, and somehow this guy's success hurt this person. It's not true, but people think it is true. The reality is that 80% of millionaires are first generation, and almost all of those millionaires got their wealth by being a value producer, creating excess value in the world, right? By producing what are called certificates of good deeds. That's what Mike Dalkey calls dollars. You know, when you sell something for a profit where people will happily pay the money in their pocket for the product or service you have, and there's a little bit of margin in there so you can pay your employees well and reinvest and scale, that's a good thing where everyone wins. That's why we like to buy stuff. You like to buy stuff. And anyway, I could go down a whole rabbit hole with that, but what I want you to understand is that being poor, in a way, is one of the most selfish things you can do. And sometimes when I do workshops, people say things like this. They say, "Well, money isn't everything, Josh. Money isn't everything. You know, for me, I just want to do just enough." And what they think that they're saying when they say these types of things, they think that they're somehow pious and holy and righteous because they publicly proclaim how money isn't that important and how you must be bad if you think it's important. But in reality, the exact opposite is what's true. Once you understand it's not about you, but it's about the people you're called to serve. It's about the staff and your team and your partners. It's about the market. It's about adding value. When you understand this, wealth will come to you, and it's about contribution. It's not a cheesy fake thing. It actually is about contribution, and you staying poor serves nobody. It doesn't even serve yourself. It doesn't even serve your family. If you stick with your lone wolf mentality and pretend like money's not important, even though you try to go get it for 40 or 50 hours a week, which is a contradiction in and of itself, if you at least want to be consistent with that belief, stop working altogether and go live on the streets. But you can't go try to work 30, 40, 50 hours a week and then also say money's not important. You're doing that to not have cognitive dissonance and not face the big scary monster of potentially failing trying to pursue success. That's what's usually going on in their head. I hope that made sense. Look, let me just recap the 9 things real quick. I know I'm going really fast. Number 1, time is infinitely more valuable than money. Number 2, abundance over scarcity. There's more than enough for everyone to have more than enough. Number 3, they use money for production and more production rather than just consumption and self-serving consumption. Number 4, they believe it's a right, not a privilege, to have wealth and abundance. Number 5, they believe that having a job is infinitely more risky than starting or having or owning a business. Number 6, street smarts is the ultimate smarts, not academic head knowledge, not memorization and regurgitation of theoretical things, but learning with your boots in the ground in the streets the hard way through voluminous repetition. That is the game. That's how you get rich. Number 7, they think in terms of teams instead of thinking solo. How can I get 15 other people rich inside the universe of my vision? Number 8, getting rich is simple, but it's not easy. But it's not as complicated as everybody makes it out to be. And number 9, it's not about me. It's about contribution to the world. Hey, is your head exploding? That was intense, right? Go back and rewatch it. You know, tell me what you think I missed. I'm sure I missed something. These videos aren't perfect. They're not designed to be perfect. They're designed for me to give you an enthusiasm transplant, to be a belief broker, to help you to not be scared to do hard things so you can change your family tree forever. And that's it. If you haven't liked or subscribed or commented, it would mean a lot to me if you did. And until next time, see you in the next video.